or this the objective of Ekta Yatra is to hoist national flag in that Lal Chowk, which was not being done for the last few decades in that area. So recently, when I had been to Srinagar, I could see sea change in the development. Infrastructure, roads, flyovers, and many AIIMS, IITs have been come up. And the engineering marvel, the world's tallest rail bridge has been constructed on the river Chenab. It is taller than that Eiffel Tower.
Absolutely.
Really, we feel proud. And the tourism, which has increased almost more than 2 crores 25 lakhs in a year, it is touched. The stone pelting has gone. Colleges started running, schools started running, people started going to offices. And people got opportunities to get employment. When we are there in hotel as part of the standing committee, MPs belonging to all parties, they were also surprised and shocked to see. Some of them seen Dal Lake some decades back. Now, the Dal Lake has become a beautiful lake. The drainage pipelines were earlier connected and thrown into that lake. Now, it has been totally cleaned up and has become a tourist spot now. Now, entire Srinagar we see, the youth are now being brought, entire the Srinagar community is being brought into the mainstream.
Yeah.
No more this terrorist activities, extremism has gone. And people also now feel that we are part of now India, Indian constitution, and now socio-economic point of view also, first time in the history, Indian history, the OBCs, SCs, STs, women have got, now they are in inclusive governance. Now they are being given a chance in local body elections. The people you have seen in the recent local body elections, parliament election, the turnout, which shows how Jammu Kashmir people are now being brought under the mainstream of Indian constitution. But unfortunately, the recent incident which took place, because Pakistan was sore on the development which took place in Jammu Kashmir and people are now being brought into the mainstream. It is part of now Indian constitution that unwanted incident which took place in Pahalgam might have disturbed, but entire not only country and even Jammu Kashmir, irrespective of caste, creed, religion, they were all stood one behind our India and Prime Minister Modi ji, and they have taught a lesson to the Pakistans who were feeling that there's going to be a division after that terror attack or the killing of that innocent tourist. But unfortunately, entire country stood one, and particularly in Srinagar, first time we have witnessed after 3 decades, people stood for country. Earlier they used to have hartals, dharnas, bandhs in support of Pakistan, in support of terror activities or something like that. But first time, against Pakistan, against terrorists, they have voluntarily, spontaneously called for bandh and they have participated in the strikes. This is a sea change. Not only that, the industrial development also. 28,400 crores have been allocated for Jammu Kashmir industrial as part of industrial policy. Now huge industries are also coming up. Now even the Chenab river, we have seen a center has been created to as a the technology which they have used, what was surprising, and even the people of Kashmir also shown their best in this construction of this railway bridge.
Right. So as that transformation journey continues, we will talk about different aspects of change that has happened in terms of socio-economic impact, in terms of infrastructural development. But Mr. Bundela, let me get in your thoughts, because you've also written a book called Integration of Bharat, and the main objective of abrogation of 370, removal of 35A was to integrate the population, integrate Jammu and Kashmir with the rest of India. In the last 6 years, consistent efforts have been made through different policies, through different measures to integrate Jammu and Kashmir with the rest of the country. How much progress do you see on that front?
Certainly. I think This day, 5th August, is not only a significant day for the state of Jammu and Kashmir, but a day to be rejoiced by the entire country, because it is this day on which the journey of integration, especially we can say that the constitutional integration journey, has achieved a significant milestone. Because in this journey, one of the greatest impediment was Article 370 and 35A, which was associated with that, and we can say an offspring of Article 370. Originally, when this Article 370 was introduced in the Constitution, its objective was totally different. Its objective was basically taking into consideration then existing circumstances in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, the prevailing war situation and non-existence of the Praja Sabha in Jammu and Kashmir, and taking into view various other factors. The integration process with which the other princely states were progressing, there were slightly different scenario in Jammu and Kashmir. Therefore, the Gopal Swami Iyengar in the Constituent Assembly explained all the factors why this Article 370 was being introduced. The objective was to implement or to enforce the provisions of the Constitution of India. So basically, this was a provision that was inherently introduced for the purpose of progressing the steps towards constitutional integration. But 1952 onwards, we see when there is change in the political scenario, certain leaders started exploiting that situation. And we see a consistent misuse of Article 370, which was very much used by the people with separatist tendencies and the forces across the country. They very much use this provision. And within the country, if we say after coming into the existence of the Constitution, the rights of the people is one thing which is very significant. And because of the existence of 370, we had seen, as Dr. Lakshman has also pointed it out, that the rights available to the various classes like women, children's, OBCs, West Pakistan refugees, STs, SCs, they were all deprived of the constitutional rights that are available otherwise to any citizens of the country. So if we see in the constitutional perspective, it is one very significant milestone that was achieved on 5th of August. And therefore, after 25th of November 1949, when the state of Jammu and Kashmir adopted the Constitution of India for the state of Jammu and Kashmir, this is the second most significant day when the state of Jammu and Kashmir is standing parallelly as strong, as constitutionally integrated as any other state or union territory of the country.
Absolutely, and that's why 6 years later, Dr. Lakshman, when we look at the transformation, the change that has happened on ground, it's unprecedented, both the speed and the scale of the transformation that has happened in the last 6 years. And that's why many are describing it as a change from conflict zone to confidence zone.
Yeah.
In that aspect, I would like to ask you, how much confidence have we been able to generate in the youngsters, the youth particularly of Jammu and Kashmir? Are we meeting their aspirations in terms of education, employment, entrepreneurship opportunities?
Tina ji, before coming to this post 370 abrogation, I would like to go back to the history, because I being from Hyderabad, now Telangana, erstwhile Nizam rule. When the independence took place on 15th August 1947, the three princely states, it is Hyderabad and Junagadh and the third in the Jammu Kashmir. They were not merged in the Indian Union. So Sardar Patel ji, he took the initiative to merge all these three principal states into Indian Union, but the then Nehru ji, he insisted that you confine only to Hyderabad and Junagadh. I will take care of that Jammu Kashmir princely state to be merged in the Indian Union. And we know how we have been badly affected under Nizam rule, how the struggle we went to, we actually witnessed. But fortunately, but for Sardar Patel ji, that Hyderabad and Junagadh were merged into Indian Union, if not in 1957, but little later. But unfortunately, when Nehru took the charge of getting Jammu Kashmir merged into Indian Union, he compromised with Sheikh Abdullah, the reasons best known to everybody. So, by giving a special status to Jammu Kashmir, the issue started since then. It was our founder of the party, Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, the then Jan Sangh president. He opposed tooth and nail. And he also spoke in the parliament right in the 1952, probably 26 June, saying that this is a balkanization of Bharat. And इस देश में दो विधान, दो प्रधान, दो निशान नहीं चलेगा. He went to the extent of violating the government's that identity system, passport system, and he led a Satyagraha march, and finally he was taken into custody, put into jail, and we know how he lost his life. This is the history, because the present generation and the future generation should be known the past history of this, how Jammu Kashmir has been transformed right from the pre-370 article days to post-370. Because now the youth of Jammu Kashmir, as you have rightly pointed out, they are looking for their career now. We have seen many IITs and AIIMS, such a beautiful institute is coming up. Now people are now, they are caring about their future and career. We have seen in Srinagar also, in some hotels, girls of 10th standards, they are also getting good salaries. So they wanted to be a part of now Indian development. They'll naturally, Srinagar being the, Jammu Kashmir being the one of the wonders of our country. So earlier they used to be totally following this partition element with partition mission. Now the entire youth, not only tourism, which has now, people see how they are getting their employment. Even small travels, tours, restaurants, all. But now I think Srinagar, the GDP, the growth of GDP, almost 4 times. So naturally, abrogation of 370 article, not only it's brought under the Indian systems, but now the youth also look for a bright and beautiful future there. And I'm confident under the leadership of Modi ji and the present systems, they'll be definitely carriers of this development.
Absolutely, and we've heard the Prime Minister often say that ये नया कश्मीर है, जैसे नया हिंदुस्तान है, नए हिंदुस्तान का नया कश्मीर है. In that aspect, Mr. Bundela, how do you see the people of Jammu and Kashmir responding to this new journey of development? How confident are they in being part of this journey of development?
See, in Jammu and Kashmir, if we look into the scenario that was prevailing before 2019, there was a very specific class that was having the full control over the resources of the entire state. And in the name of the so-called special status, there was no, constitutionally speaking, there was no as such special status. It was only a temporary status, temporary provision in the form of Article 370. So the so-called the status, in the name of that, they were running their entire industry of exploiting people of not allowing the developmental programs to proceed or to reach to the common people, to the villages, to the door to door of the people who are in dire needs. And the that section of society which remained deprived of all these things, you will be surprised to know that lakhs of people, despite living in the state of Jammu and Kashmir for past 70 years, were still not considered the resident of Jammu and Kashmir, and therefore they were deprived of all their constitutional rights. Can we imagine a scenario after these 70 years of the constitution coming into existence? And even amongst the classes that were having the status of being permanent resident in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, but if they did not belong to that particular class, they were not allowed to participate in the elections. They were not allowed to have any sort of participation in the administrative services. So a very selective arrangement was prevailing in the state of Jammu and Kashmir.
But Dr.
Yes.
Lakshman, so over the last 6 years, because we are talking about so many consistent efforts being undertaken by the central government, have we been able to demolish that fort of false propaganda, false narrative that persisted in the minds of people? And I ask you this because in the early years of my career, I happened to work with a group of Kashmiri people, and the first question they asked me was, "Are you Indian?" And my response was, "Aren't you?" And they said, "No, we are Kashmiris." From then to now, to winning the confidence of the people of that region, making them part of this journey that India is on towards becoming a Viksit Bharat, how much have we been able to succeed?
Teenager, you have seen after the tragic incident of Pahalgam, how the people of Jammu and Kashmir stood with Bharat, India. When after the incident, when I visited for second time on a different aspect, the local people questioned me. And they asked me, why did not we finish that Pakistan? The local Muslim youth and Muslim security which they have been provided to us and the drivers and almost, they were questioning me, why did we stop, why not we finish Pakistan? And why not we take up that POK? That is the sea change we have seen. Earlier, as rightly pointed out by Mundal, people were aligning towards Pakistan, and as you said, they have never been called as Indians. They used to feel that we are a separate a country, a separate state, or aligned to Pakistan, something like that. Now they want to live with India, they want to be a part of India, and they want to contribute for the overall growth of the India and even Jammu Kashmir. And they are so confident that that Prime Minister's dream of making India as Viksit Bharat 2047, Jammu Kashmir is going to be part of it, and Jammu Kashmir is going to contribute their might. And they are so, now they feel that they are also part of governance. Earlier, they used to feel that entire Jammu Kashmir belongs to only two families, either Abdullah family or Mufti Muhammad Said family. Now they feel that they are part and parcel of a governance, because now after this abrogation, people have now getting elected at local levels. The participation in the elections.
Absolutely, and the numbers
reflect how
nearly
confident they are on
68%
democracy.
turnout in assembly elections.
Earlier, they used to be aligned only with separatist, extremist organizations.
Absolutely.
Now they feel that through democratic setup only, democratic pattern only, we can develop our own state and we can be part of that development.
Clearly,
People have that
we've
confidence.
seen peaceful elections, free and fair elections, record voter turnout both in assembly elections, also in Lok Sabha elections, which perhaps saw the highest turnout in the last 35 years in the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. So persistent efforts have borne fruit. They've shown the sea change that you spoke about in terms of the attitude, the behavioral change among the people. They now belong to India. But what's next for, now for Jammu and Kashmir? Of course, as 5th August approaches, we hear there is a lot of clamour on restoration of statehood. The matter is also in court. The centre has committed that it will happen at the right time. When is the right time is something that, since you are from the BJP, I would like to ask you. Given what happened at Pahalgam, it saw a little bit of fear among the tourists. The tourism numbers dipped after the Pahalgam incident. Also in terms of the security threats, the involvement of Pakistanis. The question is, how feasible is the demand of statehood given the security landscape currently?
Of course, that is the demand of the local public, the statehood, and even the government also assured to provide the statehood to Jammu and Kashmir. But it needs some time, because the law and order,
right,
which is under the direct control of now Union Home Ministry, and fortunately even today we see our Home Minister Amit Shah ji is supposed to be the longest ever Union Home Minister in the country. So unless until we are confident enough that local governance do not politicize, or that local leadership do not yield to any pressures, because it will lead to naturally anarchy when the things are being taught at local level. They have their own politics at local level. They cannot have a stringent or action or stringent decisions which they can. Now, time alone will decide, but we are for statehood, and the government also, when the right time is there, they will take a proper decision for the statehood of Jammu Kashmir. It is a natural demand of the people. It is justifiable demand. Definitely government is also will take a decision at the right time, still when the things go all well.
Okay, let's wait for the right time. I'll take one last word from you, Mr. Bundela. What we've seen over the last 6 years is, and especially after Article 370, the manner in which development projects have been expedited in Jammu and Kashmir, and so much development has taken place. But the fact remains that Kashmir has huge potential. Towards realizing the maximum potential that this region has, what should be our priorities for the next 5 years or so?
See, first of all, the most significant thing is the security arrangements. So the security aspect is one very significant aspect. Besides that, the consistent effort towards the participation of the people of the Jammu and Kashmir in the overall progress of the state. That overall participation include in the industrial setup, in the educational institutional development, in the development of various kind of like mining sectors. Jammu and Kashmir has got huge potential. Tourism is one aspect for which Jammu and Kashmir has always been known, but there are still several areas which are still unexplored. So in those areas, the Jammu and Kashmir has got huge potential, and certainly the government, I hope, will take into consideration that how those areas which are yet unexplored for the people of the nation, and which can provide potential for the well-being of the local people. So I hope, and with the legal transformation, so it provides people with all the necessary legal assessment, so that they cannot be deprived in legal procedure of certain things to set up industry or to set up educational institution. So I think within next 10 years we'll see the entire transformed Jammu and Kashmir from these past 70 years that we have seen a very catastrophic scenario. we certainly see a very good future for the state of Jammu and Kashmir.
Absolutely. The journey has just begun. We've seen immense transformation over the last 6 years, but this has to be sustained, and if this continues, we'll see this confidence zone contributing majorly in India's Viksit Bharat vision. So with that, we'll have to wrap up the conversation. Time allows me to take up only that much in this edition of Perspective. Thank you once again, Dr. Lakshman, Mr. Bundela, for joining us with your thoughts and insights. And to you viewers, thank you very much for your time as well.
माननीय सभासदों, माननीय सभापति महोदया जी,
नियम 377 के अधीन मामले सभा पटल पर रखने के लिए अध्यक्ष द्वारा घोषणा की गई है। माननीय सदस्यगण, जिन्हें आज नियम 377 के अधीन मामले उठाने की अनुमति दी गई है, वे व्यक्तिगत रूप से तुरंत मामले को अनुमोदित पाठ सभा पटल पर प्रस्तुत कर सकते हैं।
मुझे अपना एक पक्ष में बात रखना है। कई दिनों से ये हाउस डिस्टर्ब कर रहे हैं, इसलिए मैं एक बात स्पष्ट रूप से रखना चाहता हूँ। The government has been very open to take up for discussion on any matter. From time to time, the government has been telling that we are ready to hold debate and discussion on any and every topic. However, any discussion in the parliament has to be in accordance with constitutional provisions and also in accordance with the rules as prescribed in the rules of procedure and conduct of business in Lok Sabha. On the issue of intensive revision of the electoral roll, on the issue of SIR, which they are disturbing the House from the day one, we all know that the matter is under consideration of the Honorable Supreme Court, and as such, it is a sub judice. Under Rule 186, Part 8, any matter can be discussed in the House only if it does not relate to a matter which is under adjudication by a court of law in a country. Besides, a member of this House, as per Rule 352, Clause 1, is not allowed to make or refer to any matter of the fact on which a judicial decision is pending. The matter which the opposition party is trying to raise is clearly a sub judice, and so a discussion on this issue cannot be held in this House. Chairperson, Madam, I would like to also mention and submit that the issue relates to the functions and responsibilities entrusted to the Election Commission of India, which is an autonomous body. In the past, it has been clearly established in this House itself that matters falling under the domain of the Election Commission of India cannot be discussed in this House. On 14 December 1988, when a member tried to raise issue pertaining to the functioning of the Election Commission of India, the then Lok Sabha Speaker, Sri Balram Jakarji, had ruled in the following words, I quote, Mr. to the member, you know that I cannot comment upon the actions and decisions of the Election Commission, which is an autonomous body, nor can they do it. You have to change the Constitution. I cannot allow, I cannot break the rules, unquote. He further stated that under the existing constitutional provisions, the House cannot comment upon the actions of the Election Commission. Chairperson, Madam, moreover, Rule 352 Subclause 5 of Rules of Procedure and Conduct of Business in Lok Sabha clearly says that it is not permitted to reflect upon the conduct of persons in high authority in general discussions. Therefore, Chairperson, Madam, the rules are very clear. The House cannot have a discussion on the working of an autonomous body like the Election Commission. I would like to ask the opposition members, do you want to break the rules established by this House? Do you want to throw out the provisions of the Constitution of India? Do you follow the rules of this country? From the day one, you are attempting to break the rules and the conventions established in this august House. Madam, I would like to urge the honorable members of the opposition parties, please allow the function of the House. Let us discuss and debate. Don't disturb the business of this house. We are sent to this house for discussion and debate, for issues related to all important issues of our country must be discussed. Please let the house function. Don't try to break the rules and convention of this August House. Don't try to dismiss all the decisions taken by the past August House. The chairman of then, the speaker of the past, we have to honor them. So once again, I would like to request the members of the opposition party not to disrupt the function of the House. We have important bills to take up today on the special appeal of the opposition party. We are not pushing the sports bill. Madam, we are not pressing with the discussion and passing of the sports bill, although it is listed in the business, but we will take it up later. Let the bill related to the Ministry of Shipping and Ports be taken up, which is listed today, and let the House function. I would like to request the honorable members of the opposition party, please don't disrupt the business of the House.
माननीय मंत्री सर्बानंद सोनोवाल जी, आप कुछ कहना चाहते हैं?
Madam, I am bringing a very important bill and for the maritime sector of India. So I believe, if you allow me, so can I proceed, madam? Yes, sir.
सभा की सहमति हो तो बिल.
Madam, I rise to move that the Merchant Shipping Bill 2024 to consolidate and amend the law relating to merchant shipping to ensure compliance with India's obligation under the maritime treaties and international instrument to which India is a party, and also to ensure the development of Indian shipping and efficient maintenance of Indian mercantile marine in a manner best suited to serve the national interest and for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto be taken into consideration.
माननीय सदस्य श्री विजय बंसल जी. माननीय सदस्य श्री विजय बंसल जी. माननीय सदस्य श्री ब्रजेश चोटा जी.
Thank you, Speaker, Madam. I rise to express my strong support for the Merchant Shipping Bill 2024. Madam, it's a landmark reform which is taken up by a government led by Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, which is going to modernize the maritime sector and propel us towards becoming a global shipping hub, Madam. And it's so unfortunate that the opposition party is not willing to debate such an important bill which is going to transform the shipping sector and going to create a lot of jobs in this sector. Ma'am, I represent the constituency Mangalore, a city that stands as one of the India's prominent maritime gateways, Madam. I am grateful for the opportunity given to speak on this bill, whose provisions and impact are deeply intertwined with my constituency and the larger growth of the region, Madam. Madam, I would like to say, with every drop of water you drink, every breath you take, you are connected to the sea, Madam. For centuries, the seas have been the arteries of trade and civilization. The bill is a visionary step in this direction by our leader, Shri Narendra Modi ji, which will ensure a safe, efficient and sustainable maritime operations for a rising India. Madam, under the leadership of Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji and our Minister Shri Sarbanand Sonowal, the bill brings several key transformative measures, Madam. Firstly, it brings in a modernized legal framework. Madam, it replaces a 6-decade-old law with a forward-looking statute that aligns with global maritime standards and international conventions, Madam. It encourages foreign investment. Madam, the new bill proposes significant reforms. Significant reforms to attract foreign investment. It also reduces the ownership threshold from
सदस्य भीमू प्रसाद तराई जी। माननीय सदस्य मुकेश दलाल जी।
Thank you, Honorable Speaker Madam. Amid all this destructive, negative thoughts and behavior in the Parliament, I have risen to support the Merchant Shipping Bill 2025. After India has a long history as a suffering nation, with a rich maritime tradition predating European power. Indian ships once sailed widely, engaging in prosperous trade across Asia and the Middle East. However, under British rule, the growth of India's indigenous shipping industry was stifled by laws favoring British shipping, which eventually led to decline of Indian ships in the high seas. In the 19th century, the Indian shipping law was weak and unclear. After independence, the Merchant Shipping Act 1950 was passed. But since merchant shipping sector has undergone various changes over the years, as a result, the Merchant Shipping Act 1950 Act has become bulky and outdated piece of legislation. The Act eventually consists of more than 500 sections. Under the maritime division,
माननीय मंत्री श्री सोनोवाल जी।
Madam, I am thankful to Captain Vijay Savlaji and also Dulalji, MP Dulalji, and for their kind extension of support to this bill. I rise today to move particularly this merchant shipping bill. It is a very, very advanced, progressive and modern legislation up to date with the International Maritime Convention and consisting of all relevant incorporation from global best practices of leading maritime nation. In continuation of the series of legal reforms undertaken in the past 11 years by our ministry under the dynamic leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, which have led to increased growth and development for the maritime and shipping sector. And we are endeavoring to undertake reforms of other major laws governing the sector. It is also a matter of great pride that under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, India has emerged as one of the largest supplier of seafarers. The Merchant Shipping Act 1958 presently governs merchant shipping in India and implements certain international maritime organization convention. However, the present act is outdated since it does not provide for some of the critical obligations under the international convention that have been adopted by India. The act is a bulky and fragmented legislation containing 561 sections as a result of various amendments carried out from time to time. The act is no longer adequate to realize our developmental vision and address the contemporary challenges of the maritime sector. Additionally, the 1958 Act prioritizes regulation over enablement and, as a result, does not adequately represent the bankability of India as a maritime trade hub. Aligning the domestic law with international best practices and IMO convention leads to predictability in these transactions. Such alignment in turn enhances a country's bankability as a maritime jurisdiction. Therefore, enablement of increasing India's bankability in maritime sector is core focus of the bill. Thank you, madam.
प्रश्न यह है कि विधेयक पर विचार किया जाए। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में है वो हाँ कहें, जो सदस्य विरोध में है वो ना कहें। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। विधेयक पर विचार करने हेतु प्रस्ताव को स्वीकृत किया गया। अब सभा विधेयक पर खंडवार विचार करेगी। प्रश्न यह है कि खंड 2 विधेयक का अंग बने। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में है वो हाँ कहें, जो सदस्य इसके विरोध में वो ना कहें। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। खंड 2 विधेयक का अंग बना। माननीय सदस्य श्री सौगत राय जी। प्रश्न यह है कि खंड 3 विधेयक का अंग बने। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहें, जो सदस्य इसके विरोध में वो ना कहें। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। खंड 3 विधेयक का अंग बना। माननीय सदस्य श्री एन के प्रेमचंदन जी, माननीय सदस्य श्री डी एम कातिर आनंद जी, माननीय सदस्य श्री अभय कुमार सिन्हा जी, माननीय सदस्य श्री अभय कुमार सिन्हा जी, माननीय सदस्य श्री के राधाकृष्णन जी, माननीय सदस्य श्री एन के प्रेमचंद्रन जी। प्रश्न यह है कि खंड 4 विधेयक का अंग बने। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहें, जो सदस्य विरोध में वो ना कहें। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। खंड 4 विधेयक का अंग बना। माननीय सदस्य श्री एन के प्रेमचंदन जी, माननीय सदस्य श्रीमती प्रतिमा मंडल जी, प्रश्न यह है कि खंड 5 विधेयक का अंग बने। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहें, जो सदस्य इसके विरोध में वो ना कहें। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। खंड 5 विधेयक का अंग बने। माननीय सदस्य श्रीमती प्रतिमा मंडल जी। प्रश्न यह है कि खंड 6 विधेयक का अंग बने। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहे, जो सदस्य इसके विरोध में वो ना कहे। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। खंड 6 विधेयक का अंग बना। माननीय सदस्य श्रीमती प्रतिमा मंडल। प्रश्न यह है कि खंड 7 और 8 विधेयक का अंग बने। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहें, जो सदस्य इसके विरोध में वो ना कहें। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। खंड 7 और 8 विधेयक का अंग बना। माननीय सदस्य श्री एन के प्रेमचंदन जी। प्रश्न यह है कि खंड 9 और 10 विधेयक का अंग बने। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहे, जो सदस्य इसके विरोध में वो ना कहे। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। खंड 9 और 10 विधेयक का अंग बना। माननीय सदस्य श्री एन के प्रेमचंदन जी, माननीय सदस्य श्री के राधाकृष्णन जी। प्रश्न यह है कि खंड 11 से 14 विधेयक का अंग बने। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहें, जो सदस्य इसके विरोध में वो ना कहें। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। खंड 11 से 14 विधेयक का अंग बना। माननीय मंत्री जी, संशोधन संख्या 3।
Madam, I rise to move the amendment.
प्रश्न है कि माननीय मंत्री जी द्वारा प्रस्तुत संशोधन 3 को स्वीकृत किया जाए। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहें, जो सदस्य इसके विरोध में वो ना कहें। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। संशोधन स्वीकृत हुआ। प्रश्न यह है कि खंड 15 यथा संशोधित विधेयक का अंग बने। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहे, जो सदस्य इसके विरोध में वो ना कहे। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। खंड 15 यथा संशोधित विधेयक का अंग बना। प्रश्न यह है कि खंड 16 और 17 विधेयक का अंग बने। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहे, जो सदस्य इसके विरोध में वो ना कहे। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। खंड 16 और 17 विधेयक का अंग बना। माननीय सदस्य श्री एन के प्रेमचंदन जी। प्रश्न यह है कि खंड 18 और 19 विधेयक का अंग बने। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहे, जो सदस्य इसके विरोध में वो ना कहे। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। खंड 18 और 19 विधेयक का अंग बना। प्रश्न यह है कि खंड 20 विधेयक का अंग बने। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहे, जो सदस्य इसके विरोध में वो ना कहे। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। खंड 20 विधेयक का अंग बना। माननीय सदस्य श्री के राधाकृष्णन जी। प्रश्न यह है कि खंड 21 से 27 विधेयक का अंग बने। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहे, जो सदस्य इसके विरोध में वो ना कहे। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। खंड 21 से 27 विधेयक का अंग बना। माननीय सदस्य श्री एन के प्रेमचंद्रन जी। प्रश्न यह है कि खंड 28 से 37 विधेयक का अंग बने। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में है वो हाँ कहे, जो सदस्य इसके विरोध में वो ना कहे। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। खंड 28 से 37 विधेयक का अंग बना। प्रश्न यह है कि खंड 38 से 44 विधेयक का अंग बने। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहे, जो सदस्य इसके विरोध में वे ना कहे। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। खंड 38 से 44 विधेयक का अंग बना। माननीय सदस्य श्री सौगत राय जी, प्रश्न यह है कि खंड 45 से 47 विधेयक का अंग बने। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहे, जो सदस्य विरोध में है वो ना कहे। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। खंड 45 से 47 विधेयक का अंग बना। प्रश्न है कि खंड 48 से 70 विधेयक का अंग बने। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में है वो हाँ कहे, जो सदस्य इसके विरोध में है वो ना कहे। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। खंड 48 से 70 विधेयक का अंग बना। प्रश्न यह है कि खंड 71 से 88 विधेयक का अंग बने। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहे, जो सदस्य इसके विरोध में वे ना कहे। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। खंड 71 से 88 विधेयक का अंग बना। प्रश्न यह है कि खंड 89 से 94 तक विधेयक का अंग बने। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहे, जो सदस्य इसके विरोध में वे ना कहे। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। खंड 89 से 94 तक विधेयक का अंग बना। माननीय सदस्य श्री अभय कुमार सिन्हा जी, प्रश्न यह है कि खंड 95 से 262 विधेयक का अंग बने। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहे, जो सदस्य इसके विरोध में है वो ना कहे। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। खंड 95 से 262 विधेयक का अंग बना। माननीय सदस्य DM कातिर आनंद जी, माननीय सदस्य अभय कुमार सिन्हा जी, प्रश्न यह है कि खंड 263 से 323 विधेयक का अंग बने। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहे, जो सदस्य इसके विरोध में है वे ना कहे। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। खंड 263 से 223 विधेयक का अंग बना। माननीय सदस्य श्री NK प्रेमचंदन जी, प्रश्न यह है कि खंड 324 विधेयक का अंग बने। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहे, जो सदस्य इसके विरोध में है वे ना कहे। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। खंड 324 विधेयक का अंग बने। माननीय मंत्री जी, संशोधन संख्या 24(4).
Madam, I rise to move the amendment.
प्रश्न यह है कि माननीय मंत्री जी द्वारा प्रस्तुत संशोधन संख्या 4 को स्वीकृत किया जाए। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहे, जो सदस्य विरोध में है वे ना कहे। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। संशोधन स्वीकृत हुआ। प्रश्न यह है कि खंड 325 यथा संशोधित विधेयक का अंग बने। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहे, जो सदस्य इसके विरोध में वो ना कहे। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। खंड 325 यथा संशोधित विधेयक का अंग बना। माननीय मंत्री जी, संशोधन संख्या 2 प्रस्तुत करें।
I rise to move the amendment.
प्रश्न यह है कि माननीय मंत्री जी द्वारा प्रस्तुत संशोधन संख्या 2 को स्वीकृत किया जाए। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहे, जो सदस्य इसके विरोध में वो ना कहे। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। संशोधन स्वीकृत हुआ। प्रश्न यह है कि खंड 1 यथा संशोधित विधेयक का अंग बने। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहे, जो सदस्य इसके विरोध में है वो ना कहे। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। खंड 1 यथा संशोधित विधेयक का अंग बना। माननीय मंत्री जी, संशोधन संख्या 1 प्रस्तुत करें।
Madam, I rise to move the amendment.
प्रश्न यह है कि माननीय मंत्री जी द्वारा प्रस्तुत संशोधन संख्या 1 को स्वीकृत किया जाए। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहे, जो सदस्य इसके विरोध में वो ना कहे। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। संशोधन स्वीकृत हुआ। प्रश्न यह है कि यथा संशोधित अधिनियम सूत्र विधेयक का अंग बने। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहे, जो सदस्य इसके विरोध में है वे ना कहे। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। यथा संशोधित अधिनियम सूत्र विधेयक का अंग बना। प्रश्न यह है कि विधेयक का पूरा नाम विधेयक का अंग बने। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहे, जो सदस्य इसके विरोध में है वे ना कहे। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। विधेयक का पूरा नाम विधेयक का अंग बना। माननीय मंत्री जी अब यह प्रस्ताव करें कि यथा संशोधित विधेयक को पारित किया जाए।
Madam, I move that the bill as amended be passed.
प्रश्न यह है कि विधेयक यथा संशोधित को पारित किया जाए। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में वो हाँ कहें, जो सदस्य इसके विरोध में है वो ना कहें। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। प्रस्ताव स्वीकृत हुआ। विधेयक यथा संशोधित पारित हुआ। सभा की कार्यवाही गुरुवार दिनांक 7 अगस्त 2025 को प्रातः 11 बजे तक के लिए स्थगित की जाती है।
Clause 10 stands part of the bill. Those in favor will please say aye. Those against please say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. Clause 10 is adopted. Clause 11 stands part of the bill. There is one amendment by Dr. John Brittas. Not moved. I shall now put clause 11 to vote. Those in favor will please say aye. Those against please say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. Clause 11 is adopted. Clause 12 stand part and clause 12 and schedule stand part of the bill. Those in favor will please say aye. Those against please say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. Clause 12, the schedule are adopted. The preamble, clause 1, the enacting formula and the title stands part of the bill. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The preamble, clause 1, the enacting formula and the title are adopted. Now, the Minister, please move that the bill be passed.
I move that the bill will be passed, sir.
The question is that the bill be passed. Those in favor will please say aye. Those against, please say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it, the ayes have it. The bill is passed. The House stands adjourned to meet at 11 a.m. on Thursday, the 7th August 2025. Thank you.
नवोदित भारत में हो रहा है शिक्षा का विस्तृतीकरण व भविष्यीकरण। युवा कर रहा भविष्य निर्माण, छू रहा आसमान। अटल संकल्प से मार्ग उज्जवल, काम पाना करना सरल। बुनियादी उद्यम विकसित है, प्रसन्न चित है। स्टार्टअप स्वीकृति सरल व समर्थन। युवा उद्यम जीतेगा मैराथन। मिल रहा व्यवसायों को मोदी जी का साथ। हो रहा है उद्यमों का विकास। तकनीक के पंखों पर सवार युवा कर रहा नवोदित आविष्कार। युवा अमृत काल में परिवर्तित हो रहा भारत है युवा भारत, विकसित भारत।
विकसित भारत का अमृत काल।
नमस्कार, संसद टीवी की विशेष प्रस्तुति में आप सभी दर्शकों का बहुत बहुत स्वागत है। मैं हूं सुरेंद्र कुमार। आज हमारे साथ बेहद ही खास मेहमान मौजूद हैं। हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं उत्तर प्रदेश के पूर्व मुख्यमंत्री, कई संसदीय समितियों के अध्यक्ष रह चुके जगदम्बिका पाल जी। सर, संसद टीवी पर आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, शुक्रिया। पहला सवाल सर, आपका इतना लंबा अनुभव रहा है, कैसे देखते हैं अपने इन कार्यकालों को, और ये बीते एक साल में जो आपने अपने क्षेत्र के लिए किया उसको आप कैसे बताना चाहेंगे?
18वीं लोकसभा में देश की जनता ने जिन अपेक्षाओं से किसी को भी जनप्रतिनिधि के रूप में चुना है, किसी भी दल का वो सांसद हो, लेकिन इसके बावजूद जिस तरह से 18वीं लोकसभा की कि सदन में लगातार जब से चुनाव हुआ, फ्राइडे प्राइवेट मेंबर बिल होता था या रिजोल्यूशन होता था। आज फ्राइडे के दिन कम से कम कोई भी सदस्य प्राइवेट मेंबर बिल पे अपना नाम दे करके चर्चा में भाग ले सकता था। और कितने प्राइवेट मेंबर बिल इस सदन में आए जिसको बाद में सरकार ने अडॉप्ट किया और सरकारी बिल बना। तो इतना महत्वपूर्ण दिन है शुक्रवार को, ये गैर सरकारी दिवस होता है, ये सांसदों का दिन है, चाहे सत्ता पक्षी हो चाहे प्रतिपक्षी हो। मुझे बहुत दुख हो रहा है कि 18वीं लोकसभा से जो जनता की इतनी उम्मीदें हैं, प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी लगातार अपील करते हैं कि सदन को सुचारू रूप से चलाया जाए, सदन को नियमित रूप से, सदन चर्चा के लिए है, सदन डिबेट के लिए है, डिस्कशंस के लिए है, लेकिन जिस तरह से सदन नहीं चलने पा रहा है। और आप देख रहे हैं कि इलेक्शन कमीशन अगर डोर टू डोर वेरीफाई कर रहा है, आज उसका बयान आया है कि फिर अगले 1 महीने किसी भी व्यक्ति को किसी भी वोट की आपत्ति करने का अधिकार होगा, किसी का वोट छूट गया तो उसको वोट बढ़वाने का अधिकार होगा। तो अगर इलेक्शन कमीशन का भी डोर टू डोर एक काम चल रहा है तो उस पर सदन को बाधित करना, उस पर सदन को न चलने देना। तो अब मान लीजिए बिहार में चुनाव है तो विपक्ष को ये सोचना चाहिए कि ये लोकसभा केवल चुनाव का एजेंडा नहीं है यहाँ, या एक राज्य के विषय को लेकर के उसको आप इस लोकसभा को बाधित करें। तो मुझे तो बहुत लगातार मैं देख रहा हूँ, चाहे 2009 हो, 14 हो, 19 हो, 24 हो, इस लोकसभा से कितनी स्वस्थ चिंतन, कितना गंभीर बहस, कितने प्राइवेट मेंबर्स बिल पे हम लोग घंटों घंटों बोलते थे। और आज जिस तरीके से सदन में गोवा में एक एसटी की अभी एक भी सीट नहीं है, उस एसटी की सीट्स को अगर लागू वहाँ पे सृजन करने के लिए वहाँ पे एक तो सर्वे हुआ और 705 वोटर से बढ़ के 1.5 लाख हो गए। वो बिल पेंडिंग है पहले दिन से, जब से लोकसभा शुरू हुई। और आज भी अभी संसदीय कार्य मंत्री अर्जुन राम मेघवाल जी ने कहा, लेकिन इसके बावजूद भी सदन नहीं चलने पा रहा, एक भी सरकारी बिल नहीं पारित होने पा रहा है। तो आखिर आप कल्पना करिए कि ये सरकारी बिल जिस तरीके से देश की जनता की भावनाओं को प्रतिबिंबित करने वाले हैं और वो बिल न पारित हो, तो मुझे लगता है ये चिंता का विषय है। मैं तो एक ऐसा हूँ जो हमेशा 100% इस सदन में रहता हूँ और पूरे दिन सदन की कार्रवाई में बैठता हूँ, लेकिन देश की जनता के प्रति हम लोग जवाबदेह हैं, देश की जनता की अपेक्षाएं हैं। आज विपक्ष को सोचना चाहिए कि यहाँ पे इस तरह की कार्रवाई से उस अपने क्षेत्र में जनता को क्या जवाब देंगे। और स्वस्थ मजबूत लोकतंत्र के लिए जितनी सदन में चर्चा होगी उसका फ़ायदा लोकतंत्र को भी होगा, देश की जनता को भी होगा।
सर, अगर हम बात करें 2047 के विकसित भारत की, ऐसे में कहाँ पाते हैं आप अपने क्षेत्र को, संसदीय क्षेत्र को?